They sold you a lie about Stoicism. They told you it's about being calm, about not caring, about sitting quietly while life happens to you. That's not Stoicism. That's surrender disguised as philosophy. Real Stoicism is brutal. It's ruthless. It's the philosophy that built empires, created unbreakable men, and turned suffering into strength. Today, you're going to learn the 7 brutal truths about Stoicism that modern self-help gurus won't tell you. Not because they don't know them, but because these truths are too harsh for people who want comfort instead of power. These aren't gentle lessons. These are the savage realities that Marcus Aurelius faced as emperor, that Epictetus survived as a slave, that Seneca understood as he stared down death itself. By the end of this video, you'll understand why true Stoicism isn't peaceful. It's warfare. Mental, emotional, and spiritual warfare against everything trying to break you. Drop this in the comments if you're ready for the truth. I choose strength over comfort. Let's begin. Brutal truth 1, you're going to die. And not in some distant future you can ignore. Soon. Maybe today. Maybe this year. Definitely before you're ready. The Stoics didn't whisper about death. They screamed it. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, started every morning by reminding himself that he would die. Not to be morbid, not to be depressed, to wake up. Most people live like they're immortal. They delay, they hesitate, they wait for the perfect moment that never comes. Meanwhile, time destroys them slowly. The Stoics understood something modern culture desperately tries to hide. Death isn't the enemy. Living as if you'll never die is the enemy. When you truly accept that your time is limited, that every day could be your last, something shifts. Suddenly, that argument you're holding on to seems stupid. That grudge you're nursing feels pointless. That dream you're delaying becomes urgent. Seneca wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire." Read that again. You're afraid of small things that don't matter, and you're casual about the one thing that does. Your finite time. The Stoics practiced Memento Mori, remember you must die, not to be dark, but to be awake. To strip away everything fake and focus on what's real. When you know you're dying, you stop wasting time on people who drain you. You stop performing for an audience that doesn't matter. You stop pretending you'll do it later, because later might not exist. This isn't pessimism. This is the most optimistic truth you'll ever hear. You have limited time, so make it count. Every moment you waste on resentment, on fear, on other people's opinions, is a moment stolen from your actual life. The Stoics didn't fear death. They used it as fuel. And if you're honest, you know you've been living like you have forever. You don't. Affirmation, my time is limited and precious. Brutal truth 2, no one is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your partner, not your friends, not society, not God. The only person who can save you is you. And most people never accept this. They spend their entire lives waiting for rescue that never arrives. The Stoics were brutally clear about this. Epictetus was born a slave, physically broken, tortured, powerless. And from that position, he became one of history's greatest philosophers. How? He stopped waiting for someone to free him and freed himself mentally first. Modern culture teaches you to externalize everything. You're unhappy because of your childhood. You're broke because of the economy. You're alone because people don't understand you. The Stoics would call this exactly what it is, weakness. Not because your circumstances don't matter, but because blaming them changes nothing. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, had more external power than almost anyone in history. And you know what he wrote in his private journal? You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you find strength. The most powerful man alive knew he couldn't control the world. He could only control his response to it. And if the emperor couldn't control external reality, what makes you think you can? This is where most people break. They keep expecting life to be fair. They keep waiting for circumstances to align. They keep hoping someone will see their struggle and fix it. And while they wait, years pass. Life passes. The opportunity to build something real passes. The Stoics didn't wait. They acted within the sphere they could control. Always. Only. Relentlessly. You can't control what happens to you. You can control what you do about it. That's not just a quote. That's the entire philosophy. Stop looking outside yourself for salvation. The person you've been waiting for is you. Just older, more bitter, and wondering why no one helped. Help yourself. Now. Today. With what you have. Where you are. Because no one else will. Affirmation. I am my own salvation. Brutal truth 3. Most of your suffering is self-inflicted. Not all of it. Life will hurt you in ways you can't avoid. But most of your pain, most of your anxiety, most of your stress comes from your own mind attacking you. The Stoics saw this with perfect clarity. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." Everything you're worried about right now exists primarily in your head. The presentation you're dreading hasn't happened yet. The rejection you fear is imaginary. The catastrophe you're preparing for probably won't occur. But your mind doesn't care. It tortures you with scenarios that never materialize. It replays conversations that are over. It rehearses disasters that will never happen. And you let it. You sit there and let your own mind brutalize you with thoughts about things that aren't even real. The Stoics understood that the mind, left undisciplined, becomes your worst enemy. It creates problems that don't exist. It magnifies small issues into catastrophes. It turns discomfort into agony. And it does this automatically unless you train it not to. Marcus Aurelius, with the weight of an empire on his shoulders, wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Read that carefully. You have the power to revoke your suffering at any moment. Not by changing your circumstances, by changing how you think about them. This doesn't mean pain isn't real. It means most pain is optional. Someone insults you. That's a fact. You feel destroyed for 3 days. That's a choice. Your choice. The insult is one moment. Your reaction is hours, days, weeks of self-inflicted suffering. The Stoics weren't saying you should never feel anything. They were saying don't amplify pain by dwelling on it. Don't create suffering by catastrophizing. Don't torture yourself with things you can't control. Your mind will do this by default. It's wired for survival, not happiness. So it sees threats everywhere, even when they don't exist. Your job is to train it, to catch it when it spirals. To ask, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is this fear protecting me or paralyzing me? Is this worry productive or poisonous? Most of your suffering disappears the moment you stop feeding it with your attention. The Stoics mastered this. They suffered real hardships, wars, plagues, exile, death, and they didn't add unnecessary mental suffering on top. They dealt with reality without making it worse with their imagination. That's power. That's freedom. And it's available to you right now if you stop being complicit in your own torture. Affirmation: I stop feeding my own suffering. Brutal truth 4. Comfort is killing you. Not quickly, not obviously, but slowly, systematically, it's destroying everything that makes you capable. The Stoics knew this deeply. They practiced voluntary discomfort deliberately. Seneca would sleep on hard floors. Marcus Aurelius would take cold baths. Epictetus taught his students to practice poverty. Not because they hated comfort, but because they knew comfort makes you weak, and weakness makes you vulnerable. Modern life is designed to make you soft. Central heating, fast food, endless entertainment, instant gratification, everything easy, everything comfortable, everything delivered to you so you never have to struggle. And what's the result? A generation that can't handle the smallest discomfort. That falls apart when Wi-Fi goes down. That needs therapy because someone disagreed with them. That requires trigger warnings for ideas that challenge them. The Stoics would see this for what it is: catastrophic weakness disguised as progress. They understood what modern culture forgot. Strength comes from resistance. Growth comes from difficulty. Character comes from hardship. When you remove all discomfort from your life, you don't become happy. You become fragile, unable to handle the inevitable moments when life gets hard. Because life will get hard. Guaranteed. The universe doesn't care about your comfort. And when difficulty arrives, if you've spent years avoiding every minor discomfort, you will shatter. The Stoics trained for hardship by embracing hardship voluntarily. They made themselves uncomfortable on purpose so that when life made them uncomfortable, they were ready. This is why they practiced negative visualization. They imagined losing everything they had. Not to be pessimistic, but to be prepared. So that if loss came, it wouldn't destroy them. This is why they practiced voluntary discomfort. Going hungry occasionally, being cold occasionally, doing hard things occasionally. So their threshold for difficulty stayed high. So they didn't become dependent on comfort. So they remained capable. You need to understand this deeply. Every time you choose comfort over difficulty, you make yourself weaker. Every time you avoid discomfort, you lower your capacity to handle life. Every time you take the easy path, You guarantee the hard path will break you when it inevitably appears. The Stoics didn't avoid comfort entirely. They enjoyed it when it was there, but they never needed it. They never became dependent on it. They never let it make them soft. Can you say the same? Or do you fall apart when your routine is disrupted, when your comfort is threatened, when life asks you to be uncomfortable for a while? The Stoics could endure anything because they practiced enduring regularly. You can build this same capacity, but only if you stop running from every small discomfort. Start today. Do something hard, something uncomfortable, something that requires effort, not as punishment, as training, because life is coming for you, and if you're soft, it will destroy you. Affirmation: I embrace discomfort to build strength. Brutal truth 5. Your emotions are liars. They feel real. They feel like truth, but they're stories your body tells based on incomplete information and evolutionary programming designed for a world that no longer exists. The Stoics understood this at a level most people never reach. They didn't suppress emotions. They didn't pretend feelings don't exist. They recognized emotions as information, not commands. There's a massive difference. When you feel angry, that's information. Your body is telling you something violated your expectations, but the anger isn't telling you to act on it. When you feel anxious, that's information. Your nervous system detected potential threat, but the anxiety isn't an accurate assessment of actual danger. When you feel jealous or sad or ashamed, these are signals, not truths. The Stoics mastered the space between feeling and action. Most people don't even know that space exists. They feel something and immediately act on it. Feel angry, lash out. Feel anxious, avoid. Feel attracted, chase. They're completely controlled by emotional impulses they never questioned. The Stoics questioned everything. They created distance between stimulus and response. Viktor Frankl, much later, would call this man's last freedom. The ability to choose your response regardless of your feeling. This is what made Stoics powerful. Not that they didn't feel. They felt everything, but they weren't slaves to feeling. Marcus Aurelius felt frustrated daily. Seneca felt afraid often. Epictetus felt pain constantly. But they didn't let these feelings dictate their behavior. They felt the emotion, acknowledged it, and then asked, what's the wise response here? Not what does my emotion want me to do, but what serves my values and goals. Your emotions are evolutionary tools designed for immediate survival. Fight, flight, freeze. They're not designed for complex modern decisions. They're not designed for long-term thinking. They're designed to keep you alive in the moment, often at the cost of everything else. When you let emotions control you, you make terrible decisions. You destroy relationships in anger. You avoid opportunities in fear. You sabotage success in shame. You stay in bad situations in guilt. Every single time, you choose the feeling over the outcome. The Stoics reversed this. They felt the feeling fully, then chose the outcome they wanted regardless of the feeling. This isn't suppression. Suppression is pretending the feeling doesn't exist. This is acknowledgement without obedience. Yes, I feel angry. No, I won't let anger decide my action. Yes, I feel afraid. No, I won't let fear stop me. Yes, I feel comfortable. No, I won't let comfort make me weak. Your emotions will lie to you constantly. They'll tell you to quit when you should continue, to fight when you should retreat, to speak when you should listen, to act when you should wait. And if you obey every emotional impulse, your life will be chaos. The Stoics knew this. They built systems to override emotional programming with rational choice. You need to do the same. Feel everything. Obey nothing. Choose wisely. Affirmation: I feel, but I am not controlled by feeling. Brutal truth 6. You don't own anything. Not really. Your possessions, your relationships, your body, your life, everything you think is yours can be taken at any moment. The Stoics lived this reality constantly. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, was exiled multiple times, had his wealth seized, finally was ordered to commit suicide. Marcus Aurelius lost children to plague, lost his wife, faced constant war and rebellion. Epictetus was born enslaved with nothing, lost the use of his leg to violence. Everything the Stoics had they held lightly, because they knew nothing was permanent. Modern culture teaches the opposite. It tells you to attach deeply, to identify with your possessions, to build your entire identity around external things. Your job title, your relationship status, your house, your car, your image. And when you lose any of these things, and you will, you lose yourself. Because you forgot the fundamental truth. You came into this world with nothing. You'll leave with nothing. Everything in between is borrowed, temporary, on loan from the universe until it's not. The Stoics practiced premeditation of adversity. They imagined regularly losing everything they had. Not to be negative, to prepare, to loosen their grip, to remember that nothing external is truly theirs. When you practice this, something powerful happens. You start enjoying what you have without needing it. You start loving people without suffocating them. You start appreciating your life without fearing its end. Because you remember it was never yours to keep. It was always temporary, always on loan, always going to end. This doesn't make life meaningless. It makes it precious. When you know something is temporary, you value it more. When you know someone won't be here forever, you treat them better. When you know your time is limited, you waste less of it. The Stoics weren't detached. They were deeply engaged with life. But they held everything with open hands, not clenched fists. Ready to let go at any moment without being destroyed. Can you do that? Can you appreciate what you have while knowing it's temporary? Can you love people while accepting they'll die? Can you enjoy your life while remembering you don't own it? Most people can't. They cling desperately to illusions of permanence and control. Then life rips everything away, and they shatter. Because they built their entire identity on things that were never stable. The Stoics built their identity on one thing only: their character, their response to life, their choices, because that was the only thing that couldn't be taken from them. You can lose your money, your status, your health, your relationships, your life. You can't lose your integrity unless you give it away. You can't lose your courage unless you surrender it. You can't lose your wisdom unless you abandon it. Build your identity on what can't be taken. Everything else is on loan. Appreciate it deeply. Hold it lightly. Let it go gracefully. Affirmation: I hold everything lightly and nothing owns me. Brutal Truth 7. You've been wasting your life. Not all of it, not every moment, but most of it, on things that don't matter, people who don't care, problems that aren't real. The Stoics were obsessed with one question above all: how should I spend my finite time? Because they knew time was the only truly limited resource. You can make more money. You can find new relationships. You can rebuild status. You cannot make more time. Every second you waste is gone forever, and you've been wasting seconds on nonsense for years. Seneca wrote an entire essay on this, on the shortness of life. His thesis: life is long if you use it well, but people waste it and then complain it was short. Think about your last week. How many hours did you spend scrolling? How many hours arguing with strangers online? How many hours watching content you didn't care about? How many hours in meetings that didn't matter? How many hours doing things you don't value for people you don't respect? Add it up honestly. The number is horrifying, and you can't get those hours back. They're gone, permanently, traded for nothing. The Stoics were ruthless about protecting their time. They said no constantly. They cut off draining relationships. They refused pointless obligations. They eliminated everything that didn't serve their core values. Not because they were selfish, because they understood that time wasted is life wasted. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something meaningful. Every hour given to distraction is an hour stolen from purpose. Every moment spent on other people's agendas is a moment lost from your own. You need to get savage about this immediately. Look at your life honestly. What are you doing that doesn't matter? Who are you spending time with out of obligation rather than desire? What commitments are you keeping just because you started them? What are you doing because you think you should rather than because you want to? Cut it. All of it. Ruthlessly. Today. Because every day you delay is another day wasted. Another day closer to death spent on things that don't matter. The Stoics weren't afraid to be alone. They weren't afraid to say no. They weren't afraid to disappoint people. They were terrified of wasting their one life on someone else's priorities. This is the final brutal truth. You're going to die having wasted most of your life unless you change now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Now, this moment, this decision, this is where your real life begins if you choose it. Drop the fake relationships. Drop the pointless obligations. Drop the image you're maintaining. Drop everything that isn't real and build something that is, while you still have time. Because time is the only thing you can't get back. And you're running out. Affirmation: I reclaim my time and my life starting now. You've just learned the 7 brutal truths of Stoicism that modern gurus won't teach because they're too harsh for people who want comfort. But you're not here for comfort. You're here for power. You're here for truth. You're here to become the person you're capable of being instead of the comfortable version everyone else settles for. These truths aren't gentle. They're not supposed to be. Real Stoicism isn't about feeling peaceful. It's about becoming unbreakable. You're going to die. No one's coming to save you. Your suffering is mostly self-inflicted. Comfort is killing you. Your emotions are liars. You don't own anything, and you've been wasting your life. These aren't pessimistic. These are liberating. Because once you accept them fully, once you stop fighting reality and start working with it, you become free. Free from fear. Free from need. Free from the opinions and expectations that have been crushing you. Free to build something real with the time you have left. The Stoics faced war, plague, exile, slavery, death, and they didn't just survive. They thrived. They became unshakable. Not because life was easy, because they were strong. You can build that same strength, but only if you stop running from hard truths. Only if you embrace the brutal reality of existence. Only if you choose strength over comfort, power over peace, truth over lies. Starting right now, this moment, this choice. Think deeper. Feel less. Know more. This is the Hidden Mindset.